Welcome to Doctoring You. Join Dr. Siu with his guest for part 2 in their discussion on Alzheimer's, experiences, and caring for a loved one. And now, Dr. Michael Siu.
Right now, we're going to talk a little bit about home care. When you're one-on-one with your mother at home, this is really a 24-hour job per day. And Gloria is going to explain to us a little bit of the hardships she underwent.
I feel that one of the most difficult things was not being aware of the fact that you can never leave. So from being an independent person to someone that had to stay in the house 24/7, that was very, very difficult. And even if you do get help, which I ended up hiring people to come in during the day for a break, or if I was working, you have problems that come up with hiring people that maybe can get along with the issue, or they have to know about Alzheimer's, and you have to be able to trust them, and that's very difficult.
How did you go about picking? I mean, there's so many agencies out there, the different level of care and quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how do you gauge? I mean, aside from online, you read about it ahead of time. Do you give them a week of trial or?
Well, I probably should have, but I actually just did a lot of interviewing because in my business I used to hire and let people go also. But I would just try to be careful about the interviewing, but really it's about the one-on-one between my mother and the caregiver when I'm not there. I have to make sure that they're being she's being taken care of properly, because my mom's very independent and she's not about to have someone tell her how to take a shower, but yet she can't shower on her own. You can't leave her in the shower alone. So you have to stand right outside. Plus she was always cold. There's issues also of having patience, because you have to listen sometimes 10, 20 times a day to the same story. And starts again the next day. It's like Groundhog Day, exact same. And it doesn't sound like a difficult thing, but it is. Or my mother got into hiding purses, my purse or my keys or her purse, and then she'd forget where it is. And, actually hours could be spent looking for my belongings and her belongings because she couldn't remember where she hid them.
So what you're describing is a behavior that's almost like a child's play. That they would do a hide and seek with you or something.
Yes, but being that she was independent and not used to having anyone tell her what to do, showering became a huge problem because she wanted her privacy, but yet we can't leave her alone. She could fall, and she would get very argumentative. So that would be difficult also.
The most important thing, knowing that a lot of times these senior facilities, there's a fair bit of dishonesty, shall we say, or abusiveness. Even though you pay top dollars, you may not get the right person.
That's right.
And agencies just hire people like you and I do, and they don't know who they are, aside from the basic screening tools. Is that how can one individual interact with your mom and to be her taste, so to speak? And that person is not always going to be there. There's going to be substitutes on weekends so they can have a break. And there are days when they're sick. They have their own personal needs.
Right.
So these are huge problems.
It's a great problem because with an agency, they can't work over 9-hour periods. I thought it was 8, but it's 9 for at home. If the caregiver's in the home, you still have to have, if I were to go out of town, 3 caregivers in one day, because they can't go into overtime, because you have to think of the legal issues also. And then you have to have separate people come in on the weekends. So you actually have 6 or 7 caregivers, and it was upsetting for my mom. It's very difficult. And again, I didn't want to do anything illegal. I wanted all of the taxes to be paid, and I didn't want any problems as far as, employee issues.
Now, obviously, when you have several people going in and out, they all have different things they want to eat.
Yes.
They have to cook in there.
Yes.
And that individual may not like what they cook and the smell in the house. all
Plus
kinds
my
of
time
things.
in shopping,
Right.
because I wasn't just shopping for my mother, I was shopping for the caregivers, and
Mm,
each of them have their likes, their dislikes.
hmm
Some could cook, some could. I mean, it's very difficult.
hmm Now, for the audience, of course, this is an eye opener as to what happens in one unit, one person.
Yes,
Can you imagine if you have 10 million people like this
yes.
and throughout, not just in the United States, but as the age of population gets older, which we are as baby boomers,
hmm
our offsprings will have to take care of us. And the difficulty ahead of them, I think, is going to be immense,
hmm
especially now that people don't have more than, say, one or two children.
hmm
The responsibility now becomes much greater,
hmm
in addition to paying the national debt.
And doctor, if I can point out, it's so hurtful to see so many elderly that don't have visitors, don't have family come either at the facilities or
Mm,
the different, homes that have no one.
mm.
And it's something we need to think about, that all of us are going to be in that position one day. And we have to start thinking about caring for one another now.
Mhm. I think Gloria has mentioned a very important point is that uh, hindsight is 2020. We know what's going to happen after it's been done and taken care of. But what's ahead of us, I think, is the importance of this program, is to not only be aware of what is to come, but actually for the next generation, what they need to know. For the last part of this interview, Gloria's going to tell us a little bit about how she would do it differently now that the diagnosis is made and she's in the depth of all this. For people who are going to be needing this similar advice and similar situations, how would she do it differently?
Firstly, I would make sure that I had as much information about this disease as possible. It isn't just about forgetting. It's, as they say, the long goodbye. You slowly but surely see your parent or your loved one. You see them passing each day,
Mm,
and it's just very emotionally draining. Also, one other issue needs to be the financial issue. You really have to think ahead, because it can be very, very expensive for families, and if you don't have in-home caregivers or family members and they have to go in an assisted living,
mm,
it could be $8 or $9,000 a month.
mhm.
So that needs to be taken into account also.
I mean, think about like how would you deal with it in an emotional way, not only financial but physically? How would you tackle it
I
differently?
was warned, take care of yourself, take care of yourself. And I obligated myself to at least a year to
Mm,
be with mom in a transition. It's going on 3 years now.
mm,
Everything took so much longer, and it's just been such an emotional roller coaster. I'm much better than I was the first year, simply because of the support I feel from Alzheimer's Association.
mm,
But other people that have families, that's hopefully that would be the largest support. But from what I understand, a lot of families break up over this, because there's usually
yeah,
one main caregiver
yeah.
that takes care of everything, and I had to accept other family members aren't able to handle it.
hmm
So I just accept that.
I think, for other people, not only do you have to be, if you look at reality, it is not only a financial burden that a lot of times people don't see ahead.
hmm
Number two is that if you are with a small family, who's going to support you and
hmm
help you physically, and being an emotionally draining problem that doesn't go away in months and months and months, but it goes
hmm
on for years.
Yes.
Who's going to have that stamina to continue
hmm
provide that care,
hmm
being 24/7?
hmm
And then on top of that, um, that is if you're healthy to take care of your mom or dad. If you're not healthy, who's going to take over?
hmm
I think these are real problems, not only for the family unit, but socially, it's going to be very draining.
Well, there's early onset Alzheimer's also that can start in your 50s. So if you have early onset 50 and then you're going to live another 40 years,
Yeah.
We have to think about this.
In conclusion, Gloria is going to tell us a little bit about how she would summarize all the important points in this talk.
I would say in the beginning to try to get as much knowledge as possible, even if you're calling Alzheimer's Association daily, because you have to be aware and have the facts of what you're dealing with. Uh, Caregivers have to keep in mind they have to take care of themselves in order to take care of others. So self-care is very high on that list. Another issue is our legal issues. You have to think about uh, possibly hiring attorneys and having your trust in line. If there are co-trustees, you really have to think about this long term, that all of these issues have to be discussed with every trustee. And that can
That can be
it
very
can create
frustrating.
problems.
Hmm.
So those are probably some of the main issues that I would think about, is trying to get the facts, take care of yourself, make sure your legal issues are in order, and just practice love in your heart.
I think Laura is definitely coming from her heart to tell us all her encounters. I think we appreciate her help and hope that going forward that she's going to have um, a smooth sail for your
Thank you.
mom.
Thank you.
I'm very thankful for Gloria to share with us her personal experience with her mother. I think from her experience, some of us will be able to grasp a reality of what is going to be in our future healthcare. Individually, of course, we're at different stages of our life, whether you're young, middle age, or going to be elderly and seniors. You can multiply the gravity of this problem in literally millions of people worldwide. And I think because of healthcare is something that is a continuous uh, program, is not something that is stationary and can be utilized only time and time again. Is a The better you are in healthcare, the better you are in terms of quality care. So seniors are no different from young folks, and hopefully that the young people will be able to learn something from her experience and apply to their own personal experience, whether to their parents, grandparents, or their siblings and the young ones, because after all of us are going to reach that stage one time or another, sooner or later. Now, so if you have any individual experience coming out of this, and you can reflect through your past experience, for instance, that your grandparents, when they have went on in life, if you can share with us, be free to email us on the website and share with us things that you have done in the past that will be of value to share with the rest of the global society. So I think this way, I think we can actually inch on better quality care, taking care of each other, as well as your loved ones, whether it's your friend, your neighbors, and your comments will be welcome. So until next time, I'm Dr. Michael Siu.